Yo YouTube! This is my video for Friday the 7th of June, which is today. I'll let you into a little secret. This is the second time I recorded this video, because the first time I did it, most of what you could see was the road. And I was driving through some lovely countryside, and the sun was setting setting on the horizon. But I'm going to redo this video with the camera angle at a higher place. Hopefully you can see some of the countryside that I'm going through. It's a lovely end to my day. Right, let me start my video with my stats for today. I've been talking for the last 25 minutes and I've got a dry mouth. That's better. So, today I'm basing my fuel costs on my average of 14.10 pence per mile, and today, by the time I finish, I will have driven for 606 miles. 606. I will have worked for 15 3/4 hours, and I will have earned gross £420 from 3 CX jobs. I have or will have spent £85.45 on fuel, and therefore after fuel my net income is £335.335 today. So let me tell you how I achieved that today. So I had a job booked in from yesterday, picking up from Grantham at 9 o'clock and going to just out the outskirts of Cambridge. Now Grantham is 45 minutes from my house, about 27 dead miles to get there. So I left dead on 8:15 and I arrived dead on 9 o'clock at a residential house, quite a posh one. It was a gated community, and I picked up one item from there to take to the Science Park in Cambridge. The job was for a small van. The loaded miles was 66, so I bid £70 on Thursday, and I got that job. So it was about an hour and 20 minutes journey to get to Cambridge, roughly. So when I set off, it was about 9:05. I was due to be at Cambridge at 10:25. And on the way down there, I had a quick look at what jobs there would be, because I felt a bit uncertain about the kind of jobs that I might get out of Cambridge. I wasn't sure, and I thought I might just head up to Huntingdon, because there tends to be, from my experience, quite a few jobs from Huntingdon, more than Cambridge itself. And at 10 o'clock, I had a phone call from a bid that I put on for the following job. It was picking up in St Neots between 9:45 and 10:45. It was dropping off in Leicester and then dropping off in Runcorn. It's a small van job, 168 loaded miles, 168. And so I had bid £150, 150, but I had put a note on saying something like, I'm on my way to drop off in Milton. I can get to St Neots after that. And then I put 60 minutes as my ETA in the drop-down menu. And so I had a call at around just before 10 o'clock, and I said to the shipper, have you read my notes? And I found that the notes that you type out, shippers don't tend to read those when they call you. But it's always worth having them there if they're relevant, to kind of cover yourself, and also they can always read the notes while you're on the phone and decide whether they still want to give you the job or not. I mean, he'd seen that it was 60 minutes away, and still called me. But I just want to double check that he knew I was on my way to offload first. Oh, because the other thing that surprised me was my tracker was on, obviously, but it was red, as in I was in the middle of a job. And I was surprised to get offered a job when my tracker was that colour. I suspected that most shippers only call drivers who are completely available. So I was surprised to get a call. But anyway, we had the conversation. I reassured the guy on the phone that I could be there by 11, which gave me sort of half an hour to get from St Neots to St Neots from Milton. And the actual journey is 25 minutes. And I had about 5-minute window to spare as well on top of that, because I was going to get there at 25 past 10. So we agreed that I would do that job. So it was 10 o'clock and I already had jobs in the bag worth £220. The £70 from the first job, the £150 for the second job. And I was really hopeful that I'd get to Runcorn, which is a good place for jobs, in time before it all went dead, to get my third job of the day, getting somewhere back. I remember this morning and all day it's been really sunny, bright sunshine, but it's not been too hot, and it's certainly not been too cold. It's been a lovely day to drive around the country in, and so I've had a really nice, peaceful, relaxing day earning this money. It's been the odd bit of traffic and stuff, but it's been a pretty nice experience. So when I got to St Neots, I dropped off my box at the front entrance of the office I was going to for Cambridge. Then went to St Neots and I was there. There was some delays with traffic because the A14 had some roadworks, but I managed to get there with 5 minutes to spare. So I got to the pickup point at 5 to 11. There's a bit of waiting time which I utilised their toilet facilities, and then by the time I'd loaded up, it was about 30 odd boxes, all the same size. And I was leaving the site. It was 11:15. So the lady who gave me the boxes gave me the paperwork, and it was 3 pieces of paper for 3 different orders. And she said, "Oh, there's 3 postcodes here. Can you take them to all 3 postcodes?" And I said that's fine. And then I moved off site. Then I called the shipper. I checked the postcodes before I called, and there was 1 for Leicester and 2 for Runcorn. And the 2 for Runcorn were quite close together. They both had the same first 4 digits. So it's sort of like WA34, I don't know, FS or something, and the second was WA3FY. So it was bound to be quite close. So I rang the shipper just to let them know that there was actually 3 stops, and they said how much would that cost, and I said there's no charge. I said before I was going to ring, I wasn't going to add any money on, and I did that specifically for 2 reasons really. And it's not a very business-minded approach, but it's how I like to see the world really. I was really grateful to be given the job, because the job was meant to be picked up by 10:45 at the latest, and I still got a call from the shipper, and they offered it to me even though I was going to be there at 11 o'clock. So that was a favour they did for me, so I appreciated that, and I just appreciated having a chance to have a second job get me to Runcorn. So I thought, I can't look a gift horse in the mouth and let a gift horse in the mouth. So let's just accept my good fortune and just tell them what's happened, but not add any more money on. Now, by rights, I would have the right to charge a bit of extra money, but I just didn't feel it was worth it, and didn't feel I wanted to do that. So I called the shipper just to let them know there was extra stop, but there's no charge, and then I moved on. About 10 minutes later, I had a call back from a different person in the office. So I think there's like a main guy who gave me the job, who's the main contact. And the person when I rang the office the second time, it was someone else answered the phone. So he rang me back, the first guy, and he explained that he'd spoken to the customer and that they wanted me to deliver both the second Runcorn deliveries to the same address because they were actually the same customer. And when I'd done the deliveries, I worked out at the end that one of the addresses was his office, one was his home address. So the paperwork was for the same person. So going to the one address was fine in the end. So another reason why I'm glad I hadn't added any money on, because in the end it went back down to 2 stops again. So I then, by 11:15, we'd loaded up and I'd left St Neots and I was on my way to Leicester. I arrived, it was due to be about an hour and a half. I arrived about 12:40ish to the address in Leicester that I thought I meant to be at, and it basically was an old farm, or a farm where they'd converted the sheds into industrial units, but they weren't very well labelled and numbered. So I found what I thought was the correct place. It had the correct number on the door. There was nobody there. I rang the number on the notes. There was no answer. Went to answer phone. Tried a second time. Went to answer phone. I'm going to let this guy behind me overtake because he's just come up and it's a long straight path. Let him get past. Okay, he's not overtaking. There you go. What was I saying? Distracting myself now. Where was I? Oh yeah, Leicester. So I double checked with someone else in the yard. Was it actually at the right place? And I had got the right location, and the number on the door was the same number. So I checked if he knew the person. He had no idea who the person was, so he wasn't any further help. But at least I knew I was in the right physical location, and the number on the door was the same number as I was looking for. So I rang the shipper and just explained there's no one here. The lady I spoke to the second time answered the phone. She said she'd get back to me, and so I left it with them, and I just sat and waited. And probably about 10 minutes later, a car came up and a young guy got out, and it was obviously for me. I think there'd been a breakdown in communication because he had come from home having been told that I was there. As far as I understand it, they hadn't been told that the delivery was being made, and they didn't actually even really want the stuff. But he took it in, which was really good of him, and yeah, put it on a pallet, hammered on his pallet, and he put it into his shed. So then I made my way to Runcorn. Traffic was all right, but there's a bit of delay on the M6, as there always is. But I managed to get to Runcorn, reasonably without any fuss. And it was a residential address. It was basically the home address of the customer that I got to, and I dropped off both sets of boxes with him, and then I'd finished. So now, whilst I'd done all the paperwork and got myself to the nearest supermarket because I really needed the toilet, and I had a quick toilet break and then got some food. So I'd done all that. It was now 5 to 4. So I'd managed to give myself about an hour's worth of searching time, and I was just hoping that there'd be some work left on a Friday afternoon. And I was in Runcorn, which is a good area to get work from. And there was loads of jobs, but one job in particular did catch my eye, and sometimes you get jobs that at first sight seem perfect. Nothing's ever really perfect, but this was as good as I was going to get, I think. And the job that I saw was picking up in Salford before 5:15 and delivering 3 stops, one in Pontefract. I didn't know where it was, but it was a WF postcode, which I know is Wakefield. which I know basically Leeds area. Then it goes to Louth. I know where Louth is. And then it's going to Newmarket. I know where Newmarket is. And CB postcodes going from Manchester are quite rare. So I didn't double check. And I still don't know how far Newmarket is from my house. And I didn't double check because of the time how long those legs would take me. So I just put a bid on. Now it's 232 miles loaded. I was 30 miles away from Salford. So here are the pros and cons in my head. I'll run through them as they come up. Pro: it gets me a job from near to where I am in the northwest to near where I live, and it's a big, long, loaded route. So lots of potential money there. Con: I'm about 50. Well, I was 50 minutes away from the pickup, 50, and it was heavy traffic, and it's 30 miles away. So would I even have a chance of getting it? Pro: small van job, 3 stops, easily going to fit my van, no issues with that or with weight or anything. Con: don't know how long it's going to take. It looks like it's a good route. I'm going to have to go home anyway. I've got to drive home anyway, but this could take a long time, but I don't know how long it's going to take. Pro: 332 miles, small van. Ooh, I could probably bid a decent amount of money on that. So what did I bid? I bid lower than I usually would do because it just was too tempting not to. So I worked out what was 90p a mile for 232. It was quite close to £200. So I rounded it down to £200. I usually for that job would have bid £250. That would be based on £1 a mile and £10 for each additional stop beyond the usual. So 2 additional stops, £20, added on to 232. I would round it down to 250. Now I basically put a bid in of 200, which I think is pretty competitive. The other pro or con, depends on how you look at it, it was very busy, but there are a lot of drivers in Northwest. But how many drivers are going to want to go to Newmarket at this time of day on a Friday as well? So I probably underbid because of it being a Friday. Anyway, I got a call at 17 minutes past 4. So just checking with me how long would it take me to get there. And because it's 50 minutes, I was due to get to the pickup point about 5 past 5 if I could leave straight away. So we agreed it was all a go. I made my way towards Salford, and I did tell the guy that it is traffic dependent, but I'll do my best to get there. And I had this job. So I hadn't at this point double checked how long it would take, but to me it didn't really care. I didn't really care. £200 was what was in my head, thinking that was a decent amount of money to add on to my day. And yeah, I got that job. So what happened with that job then? So I got myself to Salford and actually managed to maintain the estimated time all the way there. It was 30 miles, and I got there at 5 past 5, and they were closed at 5:15. Got loaded up. Very nice guy. Loaded me up with the 3 loads, and then I set off straight away towards Pontefract. So I left the site at 10 past 5, and I didn't really know yet what the times would be. The time to get to Pontefract was about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I arrived at Pontefract and was offloaded. So the arrival was about 20 minutes before this, but I was offloaded and off site at 10 to 7, 6:50. Then I got myself straight off to Louth, and on the sat nav it was about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I made it to that site, but there's no one around. So at the first site, the security guard was at the gate. He told me what to do. It was reasonably efficient. Still had to wait a bit, but it's probably about 15 minutes in total from arriving at the gate to leaving the gate. And then the second one, there was no security gate, there was nobody around. This was at Louth, so I had to just sort of wander around the site, try and find someone. Eventually did find someone. But yeah, before I did that, I did press a green button. Let me go back a step. I was wandering around trying to find people. There was lots of doors and shutters. It was quite a complex site. It was a printer's that I was going to, and there was a green button next to the like a goods in shutter. So I pressed the green button, and this alarm, this ringing went on, like I'd expect, but it didn't stop. It just kept going, ringing continuously. It felt like it was in a sitcom where you press the button and it's meant to go on and off, but it just kept going on. And so I pressed it again just in case it was stuck in. But no, I had this ringing, this constant ringing. I thought, well, at least someone's going to come and stop that. No one did. It kept going on for a couple of minutes. Eventually, it did stop by its own accord, and then I had to wait for about 5 minutes before someone came. So it was a bit of a delay there. But so by the time we got offloaded, it was 8:40, and then I put in a sat nav to get to Fordham, and that was saying 2 hours and a quarter. So that would mean I'd be at the last drop off at about 11 o'clock in the evening, and that is the point at which I did my first video. I was driving from Louth to Fordham, and that's what I'm doing right now, but it's just a bit darker now. The countryside between Louth and Fordham, countryside from Louth was really nice. So it's going to be a long day, but it's been a really nice day. It's been a really pleasant day. I'm going to talk about my stats for the week, but before I do that, I want to just give you a bit more commentary about salary. Let's call it salary, or work satisfaction and salary, working. I've had a couple of, well, I had a comment from a viewer about comparing what we do to normal salaries, and it's really, so before I go into what I was going to say, let me just make a slight side comment about comments. It might be my brain, but I do find it hard to distinguish between someone asking a genuine question, or a rhetorical question, or a sarcastic question. And when it's typed out, I can't really tell if I've got no prior experience of that person's comments. So some people comment on things throughout time, and I get a gist about what they're like, and how they view me. But if you've come onto my videos for the first time, and it's like a question, I'm never quite sure. A, is it just a genuine question? I don't know the answer. Tell me what is the answer to this question. So is it just like a lateral, logical response? Or B, is it rhetorical, like, this is my opinion and I'm just going to word it as a question, but I don't need an answer? Or is it C, just a sarcastic comment, making a judgment about me and my performance doing this job? And I can't tell the difference from someone who's just commenting out the blue, often from those three. And my brain tends to go, because I'm quite insecure, I suppose, and quite self-conscious and self-deprecating, I tend to go with the negative assumption first of all. I've said this before in previous videos, that I tend to be quite defensive when I read comments. So I may be completely understanding the comments that I got from this viewer, but I wanted to kind of respond in a way that is in effect justifying, inverted commas, my way of working, and that's what I feel I need to do. It might not meant like that. It might have just meant it as just this is a genuine question. Anyway, I've done my written comments. I've done one verbal comment in the last video. It's been my last sort of summary comment on the issue, I think. Because I think there's a lot of important stuff that I want to say about this. So, it's really about... I know that we all have different expectations and needs from work. And work for me is really important. But I must say that although I need money to live, I'm at that point in life now where I don't have a big mortgage anymore. I don't have dependent children. Well, not as many as that. I have one dependent child, not three anymore. And so it's not that I don't have massive bills anymore. So I can afford to ease off a bit with what I expect to earn. And I've done jobs in the past where I've tried to progress up the career ladder very unsuccessfully, and I've tried to chase salary and getting paid more money and working longer hours and trying to impress the boss, and it never got me anywhere. Absolutely never. It just wasn't ever the right thing for me. So what is so good for me about this job that I would pay lots of money to have this? It's just the freedom of not being told what to do, how to do it, when to do it by some boss figure who is either incompetent or narcissistic or lazy. Now, I haven't had that many bad bosses in the past, to be honest, but I'm mindful that some people do. I have had one or two bad bosses, and I've had one boss that I would say was a bully, and bullied not just me but other people. And if you've ever lived with a person, if you ever worked with a person that is a bully or a really bad boss, then you know how it really affects all aspects of your mental health and your life. Whether you mean to or not, it can really ruin your life. Work is so important for people, and if they get to that sort of situation where it's unhealthy for them, it's really bad. So if you've been in that situation, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I hope that if you're at the start of your career, you never have to experience a bad boss. But it's probably likely you will, unfortunately. Also, I've been watching videos this week, listening to videos this week about bad bosses. And it has reminded me about all the kind of crap that I don't have to deal with anymore. You know, the clocking in, the clocking out, the meetings, paperwork, middle management decision making, trying to, all the stuff that being employed it just disappears with this sort of job. So I've done a lot of that, and as I said, being a self-employed same-day courier, it's just one of those jobs that I was born to do. And I'm never going to be rich doing this. It is very much, I suppose, this isn't meant to sound pejorative, but it is kind of true. It's a bit of a lifestyle job for me. It's not, I think of jobs that can be careers. You've got a career ladder, you go up the responsibility level and you get more pay, more responsibilities, and you manage people. This is not one of those jobs. It's this job could be the start of running your own business and building that into something quite big. In effectively being a boss yourself, but that's not for me. Just being on the road by myself, working for myself. It's a lifestyle that I love, that enables me to earn money at the same time as sort of existing, doing a job, and so earning money, doing a job, and enjoying it. And really, honestly, if you've not had a job that you enjoy, and then you get one that you enjoy, you know how important that is. And whether I'm earning average wage, higher than average wage, minimum wage or less than minimum wage, I really don't care. That isn't why I do this. The primary reason why I do this is for my satisfaction and for my making enough to live. And at £200 after fuel per day, I can live off that. And that is probably less than minimum wage. It's close to it. It's about, if I have a 10-hour day, it's effectively £12 per hour. So it's not less than minimum wage. But I don't always make that. So some days, some weeks, I will average out more than that, and some less. But I really don't care. If I make £200 after fuel, that's all I care about. So let me bring you to my stats for this week. So I've worked 5 days. Oh, excuse me. And I've driven 2,166 miles. 2166. I have worked for 66 and 3/4 hours in total over those 5 days. I've earned gross £1,330. 1330. I have spent £305.84 on fuel. And if you take the fuel off my gross earnings, I've therefore earned net of fuel over 5 days £1,025, 1025. That means that my average earnings this week per day after fuel is £205, which is my target now. My new target is that figure. There is a story to say about that, and that comes into my next figure. My next figure is how much have I earned for every single mile that I've driven. And you want it to be in the region of 60 to 80 pence per mile. It's sort of okay. This week it's 47.25 pence per mile. So not very much at all. Really, really quite low. Less than 50p a mile in total. So that indicates that I've done too many dead miles. And those dead miles have been at the end of my probably 3 or 4 of my days where I've just dead miled it home from wherever I ended up. And that's something I need to look at for moving forwards. And finally, I have worked out if I remove an estimated £80 a day for my business costs, for the other costs other than fuel, that means that I will have averaged out £9.12 per hour of take-home money. So I've taken home an average of less than the minimum wage this week, but I've made my target, so I really don't care. Right, let me just remind you why I give you the figures, because it's been over a year since I started this channel, and there are people coming to this channel new who perhaps don't understand. The only reason why I give the figures out is if you don't do this work and you're trying to get information about what do you earn or what could you earn, I'm giving the real world daily and then weekly figures for what I earn based on being a primarily CX driver with no contacts in logistics, based in the area that I'm based in, with the van that I have and the limitations I have with other things. I'm not giving you the figures because they are particularly good, particularly bad. Those terms mean nothing. If you earn more money than me from doing whatever work you do, you're going to think that it's bad. If you earn less money than I do from whatever you do, you're going to think it's good. So good or bad is relative and irrelevant. That is just literally the facts about what I earn, and I share that in the spirit of openness and transparency to help people who have no idea what it's like to try and earn money on the CX. Because unless you know before you start, how would you have any idea whether it's even possible? And there are loads of other videos that talk about other aspects to working as a courier. So I'm just one part of the jigsaw of knowledge you can get from getting this. So that's the rationale, and that's why I do it. It's not meant to be a brag. I'm not saying it's. I've never said it's good or bad. I'm pleased or not pleased with the day. That's because of what I want from it. Okay. Is there anything else before I let you go? Oh yes, there was something else. So I've reflected a little bit today on this week because I'm trying to sort of have a bit more tactical tactics about what I do, and I think my biggest mistake this week is the number of dead miles, which I mentioned at the start of this. So how can I reduce that? I need to try and get out earlier and get to a. So if I can get out earlier and get to an area, either the northwest or West Midlands or East Midlands, by about 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock at the latest, I can hopefully then get a job closer to home than I have been doing. But if I don't get a job close to home, I probably should utilise staying out a bit more often than I did this week. So I was thinking about giving myself one tramping night a week to kind of reduce the number of dead miles. So that's what I'm going to try next week. I'm going to try a similar tactic to where I go, so try avoiding the southeast and southwest and south generally from where I am, sticking to a west-east sort of corridor across the country, and try and then, if I am stuck in, say, the northwest one evening, maybe just get a job then quite late anywhere and tramp out rather than drive home. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. In the end, I did make my target, but that was only because of this one job at the end of the day I'm doing now. And I'm not fooling myself that the other days were great. The only reason I've made my target for the week is because of the job I'm doing right now. That £200 for the 3 stops at the end of the week. So again, Fridays are good to get work. So maybe another tactic is maybe I do a long Friday, and then sort of that gives me a chance to utilise a busy day. But I wouldn't want to rely on it just on the last day of the week. I have been thinking about weekend work as well, to sort of make my average a bit better for the week. But I want to avoid that for now if I can. But I'm looking at different little tweaks here and there just to see if I can sort of fine-tune decisions I make so that I can still make my target without necessarily being out too much. I want to bring that pence per mile that I earn up to more like 70 odd p a mile if I can. And that's after fuel. Right, that's enough. So thank you for listening to my video. I wish you every success, however you choose to define that word for yourselves. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Farewell, friends.